So what happens in meditation is that you set up the right conditions to see two versions of yourself. And one of those versions is real, and the other version is conditioned. What you do in meditation, if you do it correctly, if you do it right, is that you go into the vertical dimension of your experience. What does this mean? What it means to go into the vertical dimension is that you can only be conscious, aware of the things that happen outside of time. When you go in time, you go into the horizontal dimension. And the horizontal dimension, you have an identity, a reoccurring identity. This identity is the conditioned self. The conditioned self is not a failure or not a glitch, something that should not be there. No. It is a product of our society. So it's natural that you have a conditioned self. But the question is, are you conscious of that conditioning? Is this conditioning a conditioning that you support? Or is this conditioning something that is being given to you and that you actually don't support? In other words, are you conscious of your conditioning, yes or no? Because if you are, then at least you're going to change a part of it. It might be that you change all of it, that you recondition yourself as your identity on the horizontal plane of existence. It can almost never be that you stay with your conditioning as it has been given to you by your environment since the day you were born. The more conscious you become of yourself, the more you recondition yourself into something that you truly support. But now when you go in meditation, you go into the vertical dimension. And in the vertical dimension, there is no identification with any form. There is identification with the formless, with that which is not yet manifest, that which observes the manifested. Because that is your true identity, that is your core identity. The vertical dimension shows you that awareness is your center, your being. And on top of that, you have your human makeup, which is your biology, which is a product of the past, humans who came before us, and the mind. The mind as well is a conditioned something. It's not unique. Your mind is unique in its... So I'd say that your mind is individualized, not so much unique. It is only unique in its composition. Because what the mind is made of is human concepts. And they also evolve through time. People of the past have observed things and they have fine-tuned whatever they observed. They have really questioned things. They have reasoned. They have observed and documented information. And that information lives in the mind of humanity, the collective mind, out of which you have your portion, your unique assembly of the mind of humanity. So you're unique in your mind as it is composed, and it all works together, all the aspects of it, all the little forms of your mind work together to form your reality. That is unique, but it is not created for you. It is part of the bigger whole. Just like your biology. You don't choose your biology. It has been given to you by the past, by humans who came before us. Whatever they experienced, the nutrition they had is the nutrition we need. The fears they had and the dangers they have are the fears we have, like falling off a cliff or fear of snakes, and so on. But the third aspect of you, which is the real aspect or the core aspect of you, is pure consciousness itself. Consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality. And that is what you are in the fundaments. And in meditation, you find that. In meditation, you find that you are aware of everything in the first place. And secondly, you find your conditioning appearing. The conditioning appears in consciousness. When you see that happening, you are in the observer mode. That is meditation. Meditation is passive on everything except on one thing, and that is observation. There's only the awakening of consciousness, and there is no horizontal dimension, creation, expression. There's only the conscious awareness of everything. So the active observation and the passive living of life. So in meditation, you can see that you will shift between being aware of whatever happens in the moment. I always emphasize this because meditation happens always outside of time. You can never be in time. You can never imagine the past, anticipate the future when you're in meditation, because then you are in the horizontal dimension. Then your mind is active. Therefore, you shift from meditation, meaning active observation, into the horizontal plane of creation or living out your conditioning. If you don't create, you just live out your conditioning unknowingly. So increase your consciousness, increase your awareness, your self-knowledge. And so you shift in meditation between observation of what is, sense perceptions, your breathing, whatever. And then you see that when you linger into this for a while, then you see that everything that you are aware of, so that consciousness you are aware of, is moving constantly, coming in and out of your consciousness. And the consciousness itself is just empty, aware, present. And then you'll see that the moment you lose your focus a little bit, there is the conditioned self, the second you, coming in and starting thinking about past, future, and always the same thoughts. That is the conditioning. So the second you, the horizontal plane you, conditioned self, has a set pattern of mental concepts. It might be 100, it might be 5,000, it might be 2 million, but it always repeats whatever it has. So the same concepts go over and over. They change over time though. They change because the conditions around you change. So the concepts that your conditioned self held when you were 12 years old are different than they are now. So it changes over time, but it does repeat all the time. And sometimes one falls off, something new comes in. Depends on what happens in your world. But that conditioning you will see happening in meditation because it is part of that which you observe. And then you'll see the two yous. There's the conditioned you, the mental self, and there is the aware you, just plain awareness. The more you do this, the more your self-consciousness expands. And the more this conditioned you becomes very observable. And when it is, then you can tweak it. You can take out the conditionings that don't serve you, that are just from your environment, and you can put in new conditionings. If you put something in your mind that you like, and you repeat it, it becomes part of you. It becomes part of the conceptual you. So the you in the world, the ego, maybe, if you will. You see, there is no problem there. If there is self-awareness, self-consciousness, self-knowledge, then you can have a mental, horizontal dimension you. Of course. It is a mental identification with form. It's part of our human existence. No problem. But there's two. There's the real you, the fundamental consciousness, and there is the conditioned you. And in meditation, you can see those two.